Imagine spending millions on cars that defy logic, machines bought not for speed or luxury, but because they tell the strangest, funniest, and most fascinating stories in automotive history. Today, we're diving into a garage that's less about horsepower and more about pure personality. James May, affectionately known as Captain Slow from Top Gear and the Grand Tour, isn't your typical car collector chasing speed or luxury. His garage reflects personality, humor, and engineering curiosity, each car chosen for the story it tells rather than sheer performance. From rare American muscle to eccentric British icons and forgotten prototypes, his collection is less about showing off and more about celebrating history. Estimated at over 15 million, these machines range from Ferraris once mocked by Clarkson to barn-find Hemis hidden for decades. Every car whispers identity, memory, and May's unique way of seeing the automotive world. Number 15, 1963 Chevrolet Corvette split window. This is James May's love letter to what he calls America's only proper sports car. The 1963 Corvette Stingray split window is legendary, not just because of its one-year-only rear glass design, but because May's example is one of only 199 built with the ultra-rare Z06 package. Under the hood sits the 327 cubic inch L84 V8, fuel-injected, and officially rated at 360 horsepower. What makes it magical, May says, is not the number, but the way it breathes. Surprisingly, logical engineering from America, in a time when logic wasn't their strong suit. May found this car in Montana, tucked away in a barn since 1975. The rancher who owned it had raced it on weekends before life got in the way. Inside the trunk was a forgotten Chevrolet training film reel, evidence the car had once been a dealer training tool. To May, it's not just an artifact. It's proof America could do sophistication when it felt like it. And that contradiction, he insists, is why it belongs in his collection, because it makes no sense. And that makes it perfect. Number 14, 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible. If the Corvette is American sophistication, the Hemi Cuda is American lunacy. This is one of just 14 Hemi convertible models built in 1970, and one of only 4 with a 4-speed manual gearbox. Power comes from Chrysler's infamous 426 Hemi V8. Officially listed at 425 horsepower, though insiders claim the real figure was closer to 500. It's a car so wild that May calls it the automotive equivalent of bringing a nuclear weapon to a knife fight. The way he found it is equally mad. Hidden in a Wisconsin barn, its original owner pretended to have sold it in 1974 after his wife demanded he get rid of the fuel-hungry monster. Secretly, he snuck out every Sunday after church to check the livestock, but was really starting the Hemi, keeping meticulous logs of each stolen moment. When May restored it, he spent 2 years hunting the exact plum-crazy purple formula, even tracking down the retired paint mixer from Chrysler's Lynch Road assembly plant. That obsessive streak mirrors May's personality, chasing perfection, not because it's needed, but because it's fascinating. Number 13, 1979 Porsche 911 Carrera GT3 right-hand drive. James May is famous as Captain Slow, yet here sits one of only 20 right-hand drive Carrera GT3s imported to the UK. The 3.6-liter flat 6 produces 380 horsepower. But May insists the magic isn't the power, it's the way the car communicates. With no ABS, no power steering, and no radio, it's pure driving stripped bare. He describes it as a German engineer whispering in your ear. The car's backstory is gold. It had been sitting in a Sheffield dentist's garage, unused, because its reputation scared him. During restoration, experts discovered it was actually a factory development car, complete with test tags and handwritten German instructions still under the hood. May even hunted down the original test driver, who remembered this car vividly because, unlike most GT3s, it didn't try to kill you. That detail, May insists, makes this Porsche the closest thing to mechanical honesty he's ever owned. Number 12, 1963, Ferrari 250. GTE. This car is more than just metal. It's James May's argument with Jeremy Clarkson made flesh. Clarkson once called the 250 GTE the worst Ferrari ever built, so May bought one purely to prove him wrong. He restored it obsessively over 2 years, writing a 12,000-word essay on why it's actually the most important Ferrari of them all. The 3.0-liter Colombo V12, delivering 240 horsepower through 6 Weber carburetors, demands constant attention. May jokes it needs more maintenance than the British royal family, but he loves it. To him, it represents Ferrari's transition from pure racing to luxury grand touring, a philosophical turning point. The car's history revealed a surprise. This very example was used to test Ferrari's first air conditioning system. May cataloged every bolt and screw during restoration, producing what might be the most detailed workshop manual ever created for a 250 GTE. For May, it's not about speed. It's about rewriting history and proving that even a bad Ferrari has its brilliance. Number 11, 1969, Ford Mustang Boss 429. Jeremy Clarkson once dismissed American muscle as rubbish, so May retaliated by buying this, a 1969 Mustang Boss 429, one of only 859 built. Its NASCAR-derived 429 cubic inch V8 was officially rated at 375 horsepower, but May calls that about as accurate as a chocolate teapot. Real-world figures suggest closer to 500 horses. Enough, he jokes, to alter the Earth's rotation. Ford had to literally re-engineer the Mustang's engine bay to fit the massive motor, shifting batteries to the trunk and reshaping shock towers. May found this particular car abandoned in Arizona since 1974, when its original owner couldn't afford the fuel bills. During restoration, scribbled notes from Ford engineers were found inside the trunk lid, development sketches from the era. For May, the Boss 429 isn't just a car, it's glorious excess, a symbol of engineering that answers no question, but still leaves you smiling. Number 10, 1959, Bentley S2 Continental here lies. May's definition of proper British luxury before accountants ruined everything. The Bentley S2 Continental is one of only 388 ever built, and his example came with the rare experimental aluminum radiator. The 6.2-liter V8 makes a dignified 200 horsepower, though Bentley never gave official figures, instead describing power as simply adequate. The interior is a museum of excess, 17 different types of wood, leather from entire herds, and picnic tables designed for aristocratic leisure. May discovered this example in a country estate, untouched since the 1970s, with handwritten notes from the original owner, a lord who marked which parking attendants were trustworthy. Restoration revealed fascinating history. It had been a test bed for Rolls-Royce's radiator experiments, with engineers' logs still in the glove box. To May, this car isn't about speed, it's about elegance, charm, and the absurdity of building a car for a 3-ton gentleman's lunch run. Number 9, 1963, Studebaker Avanti R2. The Avanti was America's brief moment of sanity before the muscle car madness. May's R2 model is one of just 46 built, with the factory supercharged 289 cubic inch V8 and a 4-speed manual. Output was around 290 horsepower, gentlemanly by American standards, but advanced thanks to the Paxton supercharger. Its story could be a movie. Originally ordered by a California aerospace engineer, it came loaded with rare performance options, including a factory tachometer. May found it in Palm Springs, surrounded by rocket documents. During restoration, technicians discovered timing slips from Bonneville. This very car had been clocked at 168 bbls, making it one of the fastest production cars of its day. May treasures it not just for the performance, but for what it symbolizes: America, when it briefly tried to be subtle and sophisticated, and somehow nailed it. Number 8, 1985, Ferrari 308 GTB QV MA jokingly says he bought this car to prove Magnum PI had taste. His 308 GTB Quattrovalvole, 4 valves per cylinder, represents Ferrari rediscovering its soul. The 2.9-liter V8, producing 240 horsepower through Weber carburetors, is temperamental and demanding. It needs to be warmed gently, tuned constantly, and cajoled like a temperamental artist. Originally owned by a Swiss banker, the car had just 12,000 miles and a log proving it had never seen rain. Restoration revealed original factory dyno sheets tucked in the tool roll. This specific engine produced 7 more horsepower than spec. May keeps those papers in a climate-controlled safe because, to him, they represent the tiny quirks that make a machine personal. He admits the 308 isn't the fastest, but says it's the most alive. Ferrari at its most human. Number 7. 1977. Triumph Dolomite Sprint. If ever a car reflected May's love of underdogs, it's this. The Dolomite Sprint was the world's first mass-produced 16-valve 4-cylinder, making 127 horsepower from its 2.0-liter engine. By today's standards, that's modest, but in the 1970s, it was revolutionary. May's example isn't just rare, it's the actual development car for British Leyland's racing program. He found it locked away in a Birmingham garage, complete with handwritten engineering notes and rally pace maps still under the carpet. Restoration revealed even more treasures, original sketches of the 16-valve head, and complaints from engineers about management scribbled in the margins. May preserved every flaw, even the notorious oil leaks, because in his word, that's the car's soul. To him, this Dolomite isn't about perfection, it's about ambition, brilliance, and the glorious chaos of British engineering. Number 6. 1969 Lamborghini Espada among Lamborghinis. The Espada is an oddball, a 4-seater grand tourer with a V12 under the hood. May's is one of only 176 Series 1 examples, delivered in what he insists is the worst color Lamborghini ever conceived, a metallic brown he adores. The 4.0-liter V12, with 325 horsepower, isn't shy about demanding attention. Car's first owner was a Milanese philosophy professor who wrote a 300-page thesis declaring it the perfect expression of automotive art. May found the car, still with that thesis in the glove box, which he proudly had translated. Restoration revealed it was a prototype for Lamborghini's first air conditioning system, which, predictably, barely worked. But May treasures it because it represents irrational genius, a supercar pretending to be practical, just like him, eccentric, thoughtful, and slightly ridiculous. Number 5. 1973 Alfa Romeo GTV 2000 Every petrolhead, May argues, must own an Alfa, because only an Alfa can break your heart properly. His GTV 2000 is a rare European spec with high-compression engine and lightweight panels. The 2.0-liter twin-cam produces 130 horsepower through twin Del Orto carburetors, but May swears it feels faster when it's not trying to kill you. Originally owned by a Rome orchestra conductor, the car was found with sheet music still in the glove box. May discovered it in Florence, half restored after 15 years of distractions, mostly wine. During recommissioning, he found it had been a test mule for Alfa's experimental electronic ignition, abandoned for being too reliable. May keeps the prototype parts on display, but runs the car with points ignition because, as he says, suffering is part of the Alfa experience. Number 4. 1968 Ford GT40 MK3 one of only 7 road-going GT40 MK3s ever built. This car is James May's ultimate rebuttal to the idea that Americans can't do proper sports cars. Its 289 cubic inch V8 makes 306 horsepower, wrapped in a body designed for Le Mans glory, but softened with carpets and leather seats. This specific car had been scattered across continents. The engine was used as a coffee table in California, the body sat in a barn in Kent, and the gearbox surfaced at a Belgian auction. May painstakingly reunited the pieces over 4 years, insisting every experimental part stay intact. That includes the never-produced air conditioning system and a bizarre early power steering attempt that either didn't work or tried to kill you. For May, it's a story of obsession, persistence, and redemption. A machine that almost slipped into history's cracks, but was saved by someone who cared. Number 3, 1965. Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3 Drophead Coupe. If there's one car that shows May's softer side, it's this Silver Cloud 3, one of only 27 drophead coupes ever built. This car represents Rolls-Royce at the peak of handcrafted luxury. The 6.2-liter V8 doesn't boast horsepower numbers Rolls-Royce famously called power adequate, but May says driving it feels like being carried on the shoulders of butlers. The story of this car is as aristocratic as it gets. It originally belonged to a British opera singer who drove it only to Covent Garden performances, always with a flask of brandy in the glove box. When May acquired it, he kept the flask untouched, a relic of its cultured past. Restoration uncovered custom features, like a factory-installed microphone for dictating letters while driving, a technology decades ahead of its time. May loves the absurdity of mixing ultra-luxury with practicality. For him, the Silver Cloud isn't about speed, it's about grace, dignity, and reminding us that sometimes excess is the point. Number 2, 1957, BMW 507 Roadster. This is May's crown jewel of German engineering, an ultra-rare BMW 507 Roadster, one of only 252 ever built. Its 3.2-liter V8 produces 150 horsepower, but numbers don't tell the story. What matters is the balance. Lightweight aluminum bodywork, perfect proportions, and a design so elegant that Elvis Presley bought two while stationed in Germany. May's example has an incredible history. First sold to a French racing driver, it competed in several hill climbs before being mothballed for decades. When May found it, the aluminum panels had oxidized, and the interior had been gnawed by mice. He spent 4 painstaking years restoring it, personally hunting down authentic parts from Bavarian workshops. The car is now valued at over $2.5 million, but May insists its real worth is emotional. To him, the 507 is proof that Germany could do beauty as well as function, a car that feels like a sculpture on wheels. Number 1, 1967, Ferrari 330 GTC, and finally, the car May calls the greatest compromise ever built. The Ferrari 330 GTC combined the engine of the 330 GT2+2 with the chassis of the 275, creating what many consider the most perfectly balanced Ferrari of the 1960s. Its 4.0-liter Colombo V12 produces 300 horsepower and a soundtrack that May describes as a cathedral for petrolheads. This car has a deeply personal connection for him. It once belonged to a Milanese architect who logged every journey in a leather-bound diary, down to which cafes he stopped at and what he ordered. May keeps that diary with the car, calling it a love letter written in petrol. During restoration, Ferrari Classiche confirmed the car had a unique prototype gearbox, making it one of one. For May, the 320 GTC isn't just a machine. It's history, memory, and mechanical poetry combined. When he drives it, he says it feels like all of his obsessions, precision, beauty, and eccentricity, woven into one experience. That's why it's his number 1. When you step back and look at James May's garage, you realize it isn't just a pile of rare metal and horsepower statistics. It's a living museum of contradictions. Here's a man nicknamed Captain Slow, yet his collection is filled with Le Mans legends, muscle car monsters, and supercars designed to scare the bravest driver. At the same time, tucked between the Ferraris and Mustangs, you'll find humble British oddities like the Triumph Dolomite Sprint, proof that May doesn't just collect cars, he collects stories. Every machine in his collection tells you something about who James May is. The Ferrari 250 GTE reflects his stubbornness, proving that even a bad Ferrari deserves respect. The Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud reveals his love for old-world charm and quiet dignity. The BMW 507 shows his appreciation for understated beauty. And the Lamborghini Espada? That's just May being May, loving something weird because it dares to exist. But what makes this collection truly special isn't rarity or value. Plenty of collectors chase million-dollar price tags and auction bragging rights. May's collection is different. Each car has been chosen with curiosity, affection, and a sense of humor. He doesn't worship these machines from a distance. He lives with them, drives them, breaks them, and sometimes even argues with them. For him, cars are companions, not trophies. They're flawed, eccentric, and utterly human, just like the people who build and love them. Think about it. The Mustang Boss 429 was too wild for everyday life. The Alfa Romeo GTV will break your heart without warning, and the Studebaker Avanti is a footnote in automotive history. Yet in May's eyes, they're not failures. They're evidence of human creativity, ambition, and sometimes sheer lunacy. And isn't that what makes cars magical? Not perfection, but personality. Not numbers, but stories. That's why his garage feels less like a vault and more like a diary. A diary written in fuel, chrome, and history. Each car marks a chapter in the long story of automotive culture. A reminder that cars are more than machines. They're reflections of the times, the people, and the passions that created them. So when you hear the name James May, don't just think of Captain Slow. Think of the man who sees beauty in broken ideas, who treasures forgotten oddballs alongside million-dollar icons, and who reminds us that loving cars isn't about owning the fastest or the rarest. It's about the joy of discovery, the thrill of driving, and the stories we carry with us long after the engine stops. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Whether you dream of Ferraris or Fords, Bentleys or barn finds, the perfect collection isn't about price tags or perfection. It's about passion. James May has built his world around it, and maybe, just maybe, it's a reminder for us to find our own. So, what did you think of James May's car collection? Which one would you want in your garage? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, share this video with your fellow car lovers, and subscribe for more incredible journeys into the world of cars and collectors. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that fuels your passion. Because in the end, cars aren't just machines, they're pieces of our soul on wheels.